Hello, everyone, and welcome to Words with You in conjunction with the Poetry Salon. I am Tricia Fay Hefter, founder of the Poetry Salon, and we are on a mission to make inspiration, education, and quality artistic community available to people across the magic of the internet. And today I am going to be introducing my friend and colleague, to my left here, the one who lives in an art gallery. She claims she doesn't, but I always see paintings behind her head. So how am I supposed to know otherwise? Robbie Nestor, who do we have featuring for us today?
Today, we have three wonderful features. Melissa Studdard, Ross Williamson, who happens to be Melissa's kid, and Nikki Hurd, who happens to be Ross's teacher in an MFA program that she's in at Connecticut State University, Southern Connecticut.
She was actually my teacher at University of Houston for undergrad.
Aha, I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Sorry. No one told me and I didn't ask. Shall I introduce our first reader?
I say yes.
All right. Melissa Studdard's most recent book is the poetry collection Dear Selection Committee, released by Jack Lake Press. Her work has been featured by PBS, NPR, the New York Times, Ms. Magazine, The Guardian, the Best American Poetry Blog, and the Academy of American Poets Poem a Day, and has garnered awards such as the Penn Review Poetry Prize, the Poetry Society of America's Lucille Medwick Award, the Tom Howard Award, and more. As a librettist lyricist, she has had works commissioned by Aspen Music Festival, Wolf Trap, Yale Institute of Sacred Music, and the University of Michigan School of Music. With Kelly Russell Agaddon, she co-hosts the YouTube poetry series Poems You Need. You can find her at, and I will put this in the chat in a minute, www.melissastuddard.com and youtube.com at Poems You Need. Okay.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here and see so many friendly, shiny, delightful faces and wonderful poets and friends of friends and all kinds of people here. So thank you for being here, and even some of my students. So fantastic. So I am going to, well, I want to say first that Nikki is a wonderful friend of both Ross's and mine, and was, Ross says, the most just amazing professor. I used to hear about it all the time. So I'm just so happy to be reading with these two, and so proud of my kid. So I'm going to start with a poem about Ross. And it is called When an Injured Baby Goldfinch to the Wildlife Rehab by Uber. So this poem came about because in July of 2019, there was a man who was out drinking with his friends in northern Utah, and he found this struggling baby goldfinch, and he was too intoxicated to drive, so he did what anyone would have done, and he put it into an Uber alone and sent it to the wildlife rehab, and it was saved. So this is the poem. When the drunk guy sent an injured baby goldfinch to the wildlife rehab by Uber, my kid DM'd me 2 smileys, laughing tears, and the note, "This is something you would do." And I don't know if that meant the drunk part or the goldfinch alone in the backseat part, but I think it's possible life may just be God telling a series of knock-knock jokes. So I run to answer the door, and a golden flower blooms in my chest, and I call it laughter. And I delight in how my kid takes time to message me. And a bouquet of silver flowers blooms in my chest, and I call it having a kid who DMs me. And another bouquet of flowers blooms in my chest, and I pluck them and hand them to a homeless man, and they regrow. And I pluck them and hand them to a robin's nest, and they flutter down into the air around me, and I am a flutter among them, dancing on a picnic table at the park, and I send a video of it to everyone I know, and my kid is the first to respond, and I am 1,000 barrels of wine pouring myself into the world. So I think I'll stay on the family theme. Oh, and I should mention that is from Dear Selection Committee. So the next poem that I'm going to read is about my grandmother. And my grandfather was a brigadier general in World War II. And my grandmother just had this amazing ability to always just, I mean, she was like a Doris Day. I mean, some of you people are so young, you probably don't know who that is. She was just this cheery, smiley person, no matter what was going on. And it kind of got me thinking about how these military wives often didn't really get the sort of appreciation that they really deserved for holding things together. So my grandmother shone like a chandelier in a showroom of chandeliers, all things that of crystal would bloom. Gallery French Empire, mini white iron, grace and jubilee. Her high Swarovski face, the shine of shines, chiseled to perfect optic clarity. The way light entered her and left as laughter, this is how she refracted an entire spectrum. Rainbows she was, making rainbows from war, from Roosevelt's fireside chats, from irregular letters to the Aleutians. Rainbows because the pillow beside her was unused and the combat missions numerous. Rainbows because her children were sad, and when she read books to cheer them, they cried and asked if someone would shoot father the way the hunter shot Bambi's mother. She never learned to cook or sew or clean, just this rainbow making. Her lips patriot red, light rouge on the apples of her cheeks, face powdered with a huge fur. At times, her luster was such that her facets lost track of themselves and her baluster glowed divine. Then she cut herself from the ceiling and dashed out the window to join her siblings, Cassiopeia and Ursa Major, and her friends, Mist and Snow, so she could rainbow all over the place, so she could shine and smile. While the bombs were dropping, she could smile. Okay, the next poem is about my other grandmother. It's family night. So it's called My Body Doesn't Have a Clearly Marked Exit. I don't know if people do content warnings, but this deals a little bit with suicide and self-harm. So that's my chair squeaking, by the way. I just moved my foot. Okay, so did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear my chair? Oh, okay. Okay, so my body doesn't have a clearly marked exit, but I've tried several doors anyway. Once my grandmother found me next to an empty bottle of pills and pumped me clean herself. Come morning, churches had popped up inside the problem. Self-harm preachers yanking my cry self from my body like a tooth. Grandmother's face was a fragile piece of china. One more helping of sorrow, and she would crack beneath the weight. She taught me how patience didn't weigh anything, rubbed my back all night like I was still 6, though I was 16 and still afraid to fall asleep. Her 2 hands limped like wounded deer across a frozen field. Her 2 hands holding all of misery, or life, or hope, or religion. It was hard to tell. Okay, I'll read a few more. I think I've been reading for about 6 minutes, so I'll read a few more. This is called In Praise of Darkness, or Why You Should Turn Off the Light. And I wrote this poem because I was at an artist residency in Manasota Key, Florida. And one night I left a lamp on, and I didn't realize that the turtles were hatching, and they needed to follow the moon to get to the sea. So we got fined, and I felt so terrible that some of them might have got confused. So I wrote this poem for the residency to hang near the light switches for future residents. So, In Praise of Darkness, for the hatchlings of Manasota Key. The turtles mistake our lamplight for a slice of moon, the way a human child thinks the sun is a lemon lollipop dropping from the hand of the great bank teller in the sky. And I can't tell you why what's scoop-shelled and strong-nailed is also so delicate beneath the armor, or why it is we so often bend to meet the systems of our own destruction. It's like a circle boxed into a square and circled again. On one end of the planet, an amorous 190-year-old tortoise named Jonathan mates with his 2 favorite lovers, Emma and Fred. And at the other, loggerhead hatchlings can't tell the difference between light and light as their bodies cling, codified but confused, to the cycles of a burning world. I've heard it said it's turtles all the way down, an unspooling thread of flipper and tail, salt and jaw. Why every poet eventually drinks enough wine to some careless god dropped into a sea. Poets know darkness is the place we all go to be beautiful. They know that our orb, the lamp, must be hidden, fastened back into its origin, the human mind. Okay, I'm going to read 2 more short ones. The next one is, it doesn't have a title. It's from it's a libretto that just came out. And this premiered at the Aspen Music Festival this summer, and it's about to be performed at Yale in November. And it is a poem, it's a song. It's going to be kind of hard for me to read it because when I try to just read it, I hear the singing and I can't sing, so I'm not going to offend anybody by attempting that. But so the context of this song is that the 2 characters one of the characters is trying to woo the other character. And in the original Hermann Hesse novel, it's a man wooing a woman. And the things that he says to her are also superficial and about her big red lips and all this crap. And so I wanted to sort of take it a little deeper so that it was about her as a person. So I kept the name Siddhartha. So she's a woman, but her name's Siddhartha, and she's singing to Kamala is the pleasure garden, blooming inside a sky-clear dream. She walks along the stem of birdsong, singing. Notice not her unfolding village of red petals, nor her voluptuous umbrellas of trumpet bud and vine. Instead, what she looks like beneath a costume of body, so expansive, herds of universes could pass through her, so vast you could understand how the gods fit infinity into a seed. Okay, so in closing, actually, you know what? Because Trisha was talking about her cat, I'm going to do something totally different than I had planned. Let me see if I can find it here. I think, yes, okay, great, I found it. So it's not really a poem about endings, but it has a cat in it, so that's what's important. It's called Modus Operandi, and it's also from Dear Selection. I put ranch on the Greek salad. I stand in my front yard in the rain and yell, I'm this waterfall in this desert. When people invite me to parties, I say no, then show up anyway. I bring my cat dressed in a graphic t-shirt with an image of another, more attractive cat. I tell everyone I've just returned from my honeymoon, and when they ask to see pictures, I show them the cover of the 1855 edition of Leaves of Grass. I like kissing people I don't know, sending flowers to random addresses, and signing the card, Eternally Yours, God. I'm a window cracked in the rain. My name is sitting down and standing back up for no reason. My motto is wings flapping. You should come back into my room if you miss me. I'll be there soon. I'm 1,000 miles away on a different bed.
Thank you, Melissa. Your sound was a little bit off and on, but
Oh,
not so
no.
much that we couldn't hear it all. But
Oh, no.
yeah.
I got most of it. Melissa, it's so funny when you said that you were gonna read because of the cat. Immediately the cat jumped up on the computer. So somebody heard you. What is the name of the title of that last poem you read?
Modus operandi.
There we go. Okay. I'm writing that down because I'm gonna want to look that up and read it again. Hey, she's back. Do you see her? Or she just had a camera view? Yeah, that's your friend. She writes poems about cats.
Thank you,
Okay.
Melissa. That was wonderful. And I put up the your website. I put up Nikki's too.
Thank you.
And our next feature is Ross Williamson. And Ross's work has appeared in Poetry City, Defunct, and Inkling magazine. They have served as editor of the University of Houston's Glass Mountain magazine, as well as Lone Star College's Inkling magazine. They're currently working on their MFA in poetry at Southern Connecticut State University. And I happen to have their bio that says that. No, I happen to have something with a reading by Ross Williamson right there. So go ahead and read, Ross.
Go Ross!
Thank you, Robbie. I also have work in Cutthroat and forthcoming from Southward. I want to start by reading one of my mom's poems because it's my favorite poem of all time, and we're doing this reading together. Mom, you know I gotta read Untitled. I love this poem so much I got the last 3 lines of it tattooed on my leg. So
Oh my God, that's so sweet. Thank you.
and then I'll read my own stuff because I timed it earlier and it only took like 8 minutes. So okay, this is called Untitled. My address is nostalgia for things that never happened. I wander in and out of coincidence, dragging a wagon full of unrequited lovers behind me. I visit the infirmary for broken planets and ill poets, where I bandage metaphors and remove stitches from busted couplets. All will be well again. Poets restored to their regular neurotic tendencies, free to enter emotional and psychological terrain that would make others run panicked from the landslides in their own minds. Oh, what we embrace to avoid the life we've been given. Oh, what we embrace to live the life we've been given. Call everything you've ever done untitled. It's the only honest way to create. Generate a disaster in your life to sidestep the true catastrophe of your life. Oh, there's a universe with a bell around its neck, purring outside your bedroom door. Let it in. Oh, I tried to make this about you, but it's about me, me, me. My awful claws, my electric arch, bats and blue jays hunted from trees. I thought I was good, but I never was. I'm coming home with a bleeding angel between my teeth. Open the door to the heart's door. Imperfection is the only muse, and I am her handmaiden. Please love me anyway. And that's from Dear Selection Committee. So, okay, moving on to my own poetry. This first one's called City Song, and it's from my undergraduate thesis. City Song. I skip and hop off the top bus step, give the driver my regards, bounce boundless downtown today in rain, balancing on curbs as water skitters down drains. The train waits in place as I race for its doors, strong-held by strangers. Graffiti greets me, shocks of black through brown, blue, green, gray. When the bass drops, I tap dance through puddles and taste the falling sky. I flip off passing cars and twirl on traffic posts. I plie atop concrete, my footsteps seeding wet soil and swaying green weeds. This next one's called My Mother and I Argue Over the Empty Squeeze Bottle of Mayo. Tells me I'm giving up on it. Say we shouldn't subject ourselves to petty struggles. We both want to eat, to spread congealed oil and egg yolk and vinegar over bread and bite down. We both have our own philosophies. She tells me about a poem about an abandoned maraschino cherry, and I tell her about a scene in Groundhog Day where an old homeless man struggles to reach for the bottom of his soup. Have another, Bill Murray says. Don't worry about it. We're both attached to objects, and I think she's right to stretch the plastic as long as it will go, to use that poisoned gift of polymerized crude oil or natural gas. We shouldn't waste it. But shouldn't we go easy on ourselves when we can? Isn't the world hard enough without putting ourselves through pointless labors, fruitless bangs on the back of the squeeze bottle? She was right that there was more to be eaten. We could have stretched it out into infinity, just us and the mayo, scraping along toast until there really is nothing left to root for. And okay, this one's called Positive Obsession. Positive obsession is dangerous, Octavia E. Butler writes. It's about not being able to stop at all. I suppose you don't have to be insane to be compulsive, though I know it helps. Still, I wonder what she means by able and by stop. I succeeded at neither when I was manic. Words flowed from me like industrial waste at an illegal dump site. With cure came a vast expanse of emptiness, the field of my mind scorched by chemicals. Words cling to my fingers and go no further. But it's good to inhabit reality again. This is my favorite essay. Butler's dedication grounds me to my own, though hers was more productive. She submitted, got published, saw her name in print. Every time I try to make something of myself, I realize I have more to learn. But isn't that the point of a positive obsession? The world is out there, detailed and infinite. To portray it, you have to be in love with it, or at least interested. Lately, I am overwhelmed by the mundanest of changes, consumed by mindlessness. I want positive obsession. I want to be owned by the universe, to find a thing so specific and interesting that it sparks 1,000 times its initial creation. I want to move mountains again. Surely there's something out there that can thrill me. But I don't just need cheap adrenaline or dopamine. I need sustainability, a project, something I made, something half done to fall in love with. I won't be able to stay away. The world will have meaning again. I will drown in books, suffocate in stacks of factoids. I'll see something deeper in the world. I'll live there. Okay, this next one is called Car as Extension of the Body. Shout out to Dom for helping me with my revision. Okay. Car is extension of the body. I still can't get over all the harm I do. Carbon emissions, habitat destruction, sprawling suburbs, dead animals. I still haven't killed one. I've had my license for a year and a half, and I still can't believe I can get behind the wheel. Suddenly I'm the friend who drives. I go to the grocery store, the eye doctor, Chipotle, get lab work done. I crack my window and light a cigarette, letting the smoke vanish in rushing rivers of passing traffic. I plaster myself with bumper stickers. Castiel, Funshine Bear, please go around me, unintentionally misspelled. I frame my license plates with patterns of porcelain, cover my wheel with pleasing textures and fidget toys. I keep sunglasses in my roof and money in my console. I wrap my seatbelts in cushions. NPR croons the news, and I do impossible things. Back into parking spots, navigate stop signs, pass a lumbering garbage truck. On the road, I don't think of my car as separate from me. We are one entity. This metal extension, this prosthetic that can alienate and kill. The world can be different. It was before. It was a choice. Trains were stripped from cities, one by one. We don't need our own private kingdoms. I go over the speed limit, just because I can. I inch onto pedestrian crossings so I can see better. I forget to look when I turn right on red. I make wide turns and park over the line. I flip off every cop I see. And of course, it's an incredible privilege to feel alone on the road, to drive without fear in the same city where Sandra Bland took her last breaths. I want to crash my car through the nearest police station, to watch carceral apparatuses and industrial capitalism burn. I never want to get gas again. But it's nice for now to feel the wind whip my hair on mild days, to blast rap music, to check the rear view and see an empty road stretching out into an endless and accessible horizon. And this will be my final poem. And this one I wrote after experiencing my first real spring, after my first real winter in Connecticut. Everything happens simultaneously. Mushrooms in the yard, it's spring, and I am moving again, and the mushrooms are brown, light brown, like moving boxes, and the world is so alive, and I crush grass, green beneath my feet, and I eat meat. I am an apex predator, but I can love too, thank God. And there's grass again, and leaves, and dandelions, and birds dancing atop the street, and I greet the living world, and it mourns with me. Everyone cries together, and we laugh through the pain, and we live with it, and we keep going. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you so much. Amazing set of poems. Gosh, when I was probably your age, I was not doing anything worthy of public exposure, for sure.
Well, thank you. And thanks for the
Yes.
opportunity.
Genes definitely help, and lots of good teachers. Let's see. Let me find the bio again. There it is. Our third feature is Nikki Hurd. Nikki is the author of the poetry collections The Stuff of Hollywood and The Language of Shedding Skin, as well as the chapbook whose name I don't have, Don't You Weep. She co-edited with Meg Day, Laura Hershey, on the life and work of an American master. Hurd's poetry, essays, and criticism appear in the Academy of American Poets, Poem a Day, Poetry Daily, New England Review, Salon, and This Is the Honey, an anthology of contemporary Black poets, among other journals and anthologies. Her work has been supported by MacDowell, UCross, Breadloaf, the Virginia Center for the Creative Arts, the Newberry Library, and Cave Canem. Hurd has taught at the University of Houston, Washington University, and St. Louis. She lives in Lancaster, PA, where she teaches at Franklin and Marshall College. Take it away, Nikki, and I'm sorry I should have read that bio carefully before I read it. Thank you.
No, you did great. I'm not a fan of bios. Yeah, there's so much whatever. But anyway, I'm excited to be here to read with my dear friend Melissa, who I haven't seen. I haven't seen Melissa in such a really long time. And so when Melissa reached out about this, I was so excited because I really respect Melissa's work, and Ross is such a fabulous poet. So I have a lot of gratitude, and thank you, Tresha and Robbie, for setting this all up. So I'm gonna continue on with the family theme. I'm gonna begin with a poem that was really a writing prompt for me. I had realized that I hadn't written a poem about my father. So I have, or had, I should say, two fathers. I had my biological father, but there was the father that adopted me when he married my mom. And that's really the only father that I pretty much knew as a kid. And so I had never written a poem about this man, and my relationship with him up until his death was great. So I gave myself a writing prompt to write a poem about my dad, and to try to make it kind of a braided poem, which is, I realized at that point in time that all my poems are kind of these like A to Z poems where I begin at one place and everything is pretty linear, and I end at another place and it just kind of, there's no kind of back and forth. It's just pretty linear. And so I wanted to do something a little different with this poem. So I was trying to weave in a childhood memory and an experience that I had in Houston at a strip mall. Bird. Yesterday at Shepherd and Gray, the parking lot was filled with birds, blackbirds, actually grackles. It was a grackle lot. Instead of a bumper on a car, there were 10 grackles. Instead of a sunroof, 50 grackles sat high, their bodies shimmers under cheap strip mall lights as choppers delayed their spending to pull out phones and take shots. Such spectators we were, like that summer in July when I was left again to wonder who was the child and who the adult. That Sunday evening that hung in the air like bug spray when my father, the one who fed me and gave me his last name, stood 2 stories on our front porch, every neighbor in all manner of dress drawn from their homes in the street watching. Let me tell you how he spread his arms wide like the man he was before Vietnam or before the schizophrenia. Let me tell you how a child learns the alphabet by counting, how she learns only 2 letters separate the words hero and heroine, how he stood high on the ledge of a porch the child never much liked because there was a crack in its wooden center, as if the world was waiting to open its jaws to swallow her body whole. Let me tell you how that July evening didn't hold death, but instead was the preface to death, the point being he jumped. Some will say there are worse songs to sing. Others might believe it a tragedy. But who are we to question the gods when a man unconcerned with the inconvenience of his presence shows up in a parking lot winged as an army of himself? Eventually, lights went dark in the shops, and each watcher retraced their steps back home to find their families, to rejoice over food, to laugh and settle the night. And the birds, Steadfast they stood, not quite ready for flight. This next poem was written because I again gave myself a writing prompt. I had been reading a lot of poems by poets who were writing about their mothers. And I had never written a poem about my mother. This is actually from The Language of Shedding Skin, my first book. And so the prompt was, write a poem about my mother, which I knew was going to be really difficult. And I'm writing about why that's so difficult now, but I'm doing so in prose. So there's not a lot to say, but I knew that I had to find something positive because that felt fair. So I approached this. I couldn't, and for whatever reasons, I couldn't do it with one stanza, and so it's in six different sections. My mama. 1. I wrote to her once, said I'd slept with more dick than stars on the flag. How patriotic was her response. Then I got called a slut. She had wanted an in on my life story to conjugate blue veins and blood, movements of a daughter never good at being good enough. Never good at being good enough, passed down like silver table settings in fine family china, a fragile inheritance. Your 1954 black and white baby picture card says, to wish you every joy Christmas and the new year may bring. If only you had known that a mother can only give what her own hands have held. If only you had been dressed and prepared for the winter season. It wasn't the belt. The belt was black, her skin was black, and she had come to understand the mythology of its place. It was instead the demand to be naked, fruit skin peeled way back that brought her to an edge. Why would a mother fashion this punishment for sharing a bike with a friend? The measure recalled the notion of property, what she had been or would become. Navy-skinned female on an auction block or somebody's trick on the street. His grammar is fly, full-length leather coat, hair to shoulder, center parted and fried. It's 1975 and the man is super fly. When the bell rings, he poses in front of his electric blue TR7, school kids herding home, talking about, that your daddy? You left him after 6 years, bravest act you've ever done. And inside that nucleus of bravery, you hold the anger of life. You are the harvester of thorns, an iron pendant worn around your neck. Listen up, girl. None of us are getting any younger, and metal gets heavier with age. Purple pants, tight top exposing midriff, hair in curls, size 8, dressed like the prettiest video girls. Your favorite song, George Benson's Give Me the Night. And the nights filled with line dance and drink are good. The camera now catching a rare piece of light. You smile and I see why he loved you. I write a lot about violence. I don't know, I always have, and I probably always will. But more recently, I've been thinking a lot about fear and violence, and which fears of violence seem acceptable and which fears seem unacceptable. Um, and I don't know that this poem actually is from my book that came out last August, The Stuff of Hollywood. I'm not sure that this poem tries to answer that question. I think it's just kind of musing about those two different kinds of fears. And the cat that is referenced in the poem, I don't know if the cat's still alive, but the cat belonged to the poet Leanne Howe. Yesterday, the ABC affiliate televised a hostage situation set squarely midday in Silver Lake. According to the voice behind the live feed, a man ran, cops behind, gunfire exchanged into that nautical-themed grocery store chain known to sell affordable flowers and wine, and now, in front of a sign reading Baker's Dozen Roses, $5.99 plus tax. Instead of taking in the scent, I consider exits. What happens if someone walks or runs in with a? And last spring, the required active shooter training on a college campus where it's illegal to light a Marlboro, but okay to carry a gun. Senate Bill 11, effective August 1st, 2016. A license holder may carry a concealed handgun on or about the license holder's person while the license holder is on the campus of an institution of higher education or private or independent institution of higher education in this state. And Texas summer head colds are the worst, which is why I'm at my local nautical-themed grocery store chain to secure soup, tangerine juice, New Zealand bottled water, but the roses at the door and Clapton's remake, I Shot the Sheriff, Stop Me First. And the idea of America as a melting pot implies everyone is in that round piece of metal boiling together. I say aloud what many are too correct to say. Some of us live in hip neighborhoods, selling overpriced coffee and scone stuff with too many things. We pay for safety, the auto theft here and there, the one homeless person in the park, that neighborhood treasure, which suggests the killing is nothing new. Its proximity, or stated more directly, the problem with the phrase mass shooting is grammatical, of concern, the adjective, not the noun. And given gun sales increase after most mass situations, given white children died in Sandy Hook, given we credit card debt more, given we weigh over more, given we binge watch more, why wouldn't we, four-letter word beginning with K, more? There's a poet with a cat with a bullet in its body. A slide on an active shooter training PowerPoint that reads, keep calm and carry on. Dear police chief, can much be done if only a few in the pot give a shit it's burning? I'm going to end with, I have been writing these aubades, and I'm not sure. I know a little bit of how it got started. An aubade is a poem that's usually written between lovers, and it either celebrates or is celebrating or disappointed in the coming of morning. And so I live in Lancaster, and particularly on Sunday mornings, I'm hearing just a cacophony of different sounds, but someone might drive down the busy street that I live on, and there'd be a boombox going on. But I often hear the horses go by because the Amish have farms that are nearby, and they're riding the horses, and it's a sound that like takes me back to some other place. And so these are this is a two-part poem called Obads, from hearing the horses go by in the morning. Another morning of shoveling, for hours, one man, and the hurt song of steel on red brick. There is no snow, no frozen rain underfoot, just particles and the sky. At lunch, someone says a state is nothing but a story. Jimmy Carter's funeral, the pleasantries extended. In the back seat of the car, in a brown paper bag, yeast that has risen and been held to fire. The eye looks through the window, the fingers count, not at half staff, so many flags. Two sides of the state. Tonight, what falls we call snow. Come morning out west, they'll call it ash. Whole museums of lives gone, gone, gone to fire. Bird song, goldfinch, starling, chickadee, the end of life a contagion. Even the flowers don't keep anymore. This time on the dinner table, gerbera, daisies, pink. A story can mean a narrative. It can also mean a lie. The shoveling has stopped. Now only the sounds of machines with their hungers.
I'm sorry, I had to type that line into the chat. That was an astounding set of poems, Nikki. I'm surprised you're still standing. I feel as though we ought to take a wee break before the open, but not too long. We have a few people. So it's one poem or 5 minutes, whichever comes first.
Did you mean to say 2 poems of 5 minutes?
No, one.
Well, then 1 poem and
3
that's it.
minutes. Okay. All right. 1 poem in 3 minutes then. Michael.
Yes.
It's your turn.
Okay.
Bobby, real quick, so that I can put a spotlight on everyone, would you say who is on deck and then who the reader is?
Yes. I always forget. So Michael Well is first, and then Rose is on deck.
Thank you.
We ready?
Yeah.
Okay. This is a after poem. It was written after a poem by Kelly Russell Agaddon that was written several years ago that I absolutely adored. And having sat on it for all of that period of time, I decided to write a response. The original poem was Love Waltz with Fireworks. And mine is entitled Love Waltz with a Stranger. Half an hour ago, I was in love with a poem that I was reading over my coffee. Before that, I put down my pen and journal, having given up on my own poem as I was not loving it. After that, a woman stopped on the way from the cashier as she was enjoying a sticky cinnamon roll and licking her long fingers. I could not help but notice her bright nails. A pause, or was it a hesitation? My awkwardness would not let me resume eye contact, but I realized she looks like she wants to say something. I sip my coffee, now growing cold, my nervousness obvious. My cup clinks shakily against the plate. My mind a kaleidoscope of people I picture interacting with, but don't. I don't have that outward personality naturally. I think many of my generation is the same way, sadly. I sense she is standing at my side. I feel a hand on my shoulder, astonishingly firm, and I look inert in my natural introversion. I now recognize her flowing, long, streaked hair with highlights, bright eyes of sapphire, and lovely smile of cerise, the same shade as her nails. She leaned way in. Her hand grabs hold of mine and whispers to me as if this were only our secret. I adore your pink polo. Why don't more men wear pink? It makes everyone look sexy. My returned smile completely forgot to be its self-conscious norm. I'm so glad you like it. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you, Michael. It's a pleasure to have you. Please come back another time.
I will.
Rose?
Unmute
Rose?
your microphone. I did unmute my microphone. Unmute. Can you hear me now?
I'm sorry, I have to tell Tricia that Susanna is on deck.
But can you hear me? Okay. This is a little poem from my latest chapbook, which is called The Matter of Words. I love words, and it's a little dictionary of strange words that I found and collected and interpreted as a poet. And this is called exonym. Oh, America, a name given to the whole continent by a German cartographer. He never traveled there, but called it America after his colleague, cartographer Amerigo Vespucci. There are many countries on the continent of America. The most powerful and influential, the United States of America. Other Americans among many, the Mexicans, the Peruvians, the Colombians, the Chileans, the Brazilians, exonyms for Mexicanos, Peruanos, Colombianos, Chilenos, Brasileiros, the names by which they know themselves. The Navajo call each other Diné. Warszawa is the Polish version of Warsaw, and Auschwitz was the German name for Auschwitz. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose. Susanna is on deck. And
Hi.
Lindsay is now on deck.
Okay. I wrote this poem some time ago, and I'm happy to
it finally found a home in Sheila Nagig's new upcoming anthology called Amplify, where they're featuring Black, Indigenous, and people of color. So interesting that Rose just read about America, because this is called American Caprice. The town square is for white people with their boys and girls chasing red balloons. Small brown dogs named Buster jump up and yelp as if they too belong in the picture, because they do. You can hear the brass band warming up in the gazebo, festooned. Yes, I said festooned with, you guessed it, red and blue bunting. You can taste the hot dogs on a white bun as you laugh and you laugh as you lick the red ketchup from your lips. This is the town Rockwell painted. Grant me some mercy and paint me in too. Let me be someone other than the park gardener spearing leaves, or the janitor collecting trash behind the bandstand. Let me sit on the checkered picnic blanket, complain of ants, eat fried chicken and Grammy's frosty icebox cookies. Won't you place me in the diorama? Give me a spot in the narrative? Come on, paint me in, Norman. Thank you.
And Brandon will be on deck.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to read a poem I wrote about. It's a silly poem. It's sort of a celebration. And I went to my friend Aliki's house, and her husband, she was working, and her husband and I played this game. And it's where you pass the remote back and forth and turn the other person on to a new song they've never heard. The only thing is we decided to get high, and yeah, and Craig went upstairs to get some gummies, and it turned out the gummy was 25 milligrams. We were so stoned we were out of our minds. Anyway, this is what you need to know about the poem. Here goes. Pass the remote game. After taking the strongest gummy, we tripped aquatic on blues and rock, the flavor of magenta and purple haze, aqua and gold lighting, the sound of mint and cucumber, and virtuoso musicians bending strings, huffing lyrics, riffing the sublime, most sporting shaggy rock hair and 70s afros. Do you know this? Have you heard this? Musicians, fierce, clasp their instruments, locked on and spit dragon fire through tall speakers, birthing us new. I became a shiny black onyx. I looked like a stone, breathed like a stone. Too high, I don't know what Craig became as we sat there eating fresh cherries like planets. I could have wept like a jackass over Terry Katz's delivery, wrestled from gut and heart and groin. Too high to tap my foot, I opened my lounging couch arms like a crossing guard and took up space as light glinted off fiberglass guitars and the skeletons of drum kits. The release, I lost taste for due dates, grading, and everything needing answer. Have you heard this? Music flowed over us like rippled ocean, clear over wet sand, and with each new musical turn on, we looked at each other, our air guitars and drumsticks poised for something badass, as if spring had just surged green out of season. We played the air and we listened for the miracle, and when we were finished, we listened again. Rosemary, that's funny.
Thank you. Yeah, now there'll be a run on them. Watch. And Dom will be on deck.
All right. Well,
Brandon, go ahead.
good evening. Thanks, everybody. This reading has been really, really wonderful. And I wanted to say how much I appreciated Melissa's grandma poems. I also have a poem for each of my grandmothers, though I usually typically only read the happier one. So I was close with both of them, and I decided I'm not going to read the happier one tonight. I'm going to read the other one. Alzheimer's and dementia is a tough thing to watch happen to somebody. So we were at her home called Poets Walk, which is out in Leesburg. I'm in Northern Virginia, and my mom had asked me to go to her room and get something out of her drawer. I can't remember what she wanted me to get, but I walked in, and right on the wall next to where she was sleeping, she had been trying to sign her name in a crayon. So this is my poem, What's Left of My Grandmother's Signature. I wrote this right then and there, and it came out that way. And then it got published by an editor who said he loved it at a reading, so pretty cool. In her room at Poets Walk, her first name begins with a cursive J, elegantly completing itself on the wall. Resting in suspended animation, southwest of an equally impressive O that I'd be proud of, except that it decides to exit stage left instead, which loops down into the second mistake, a loosely connected capital A, followed by the third in a four-letter name, an L instead of the N. Beginning Anderson, she abandons script, another capital A, shuffling its feet nervously just before the chasm, breaking her concentration yet again. The N shrinking and the D passed over entirely for the E, tilted and staring into oblivion and whatever else I remember. Thanks.
Hello.
And our
That was
next reader on is Dom.
Hello,
And
everyone.
on deck is Cora.
So the poem I'm going to read actually came from a conversation with Ross on the 1st of September. It's called Thank God for the Helpers. Thank God for the helpers, the ones who stand phosphorescent in the crosshairs, clinics like coral reefs in a sea of acid, fragile, ostentiferous, irreplaceable, unaligned bodies like constellations refusing to be redacted, doctors scribbling insurgency in prescription pads, nurses, nurses suturing joy to the ruptured fabric of fear, patients choosing exhale over asphyxia, life shimmering where silence festered. Thank God for the poets, with lungs full of lightning, for those dreamers who thread galaxies from lint and bus tickets, words and pigments, for the makers who solder tenderness into metal, for the lovers who murmur rebellion in the dark with nothing but fingertips and breath, for the quiddling thinkers who won't be quiet, for the graffiti painters, the subway buskers, the mariachi men, the karaoke bar, those seers and resonators whom hum and tune and spill loop notes through roseate eyes like endless fountains. Thank God for the archivists, cathedral keepers of memory, muckrakers of memorandum, hoarders of unburnt truths, keepers of the keys of Alexandria. Thank God for their prey, for journalists whose ink still stings like iodine, for photographers pinning down the fleeting shadows of our faces, for videographers bottling the ghost light of protest marches, for commentators spitting into the wind without corporate muzzles, for the Associated Press when it briefly remembers its own pulse. Thank God for mothers, drag mothers with duct tape wings, wire halos, the warmest shoulder to cry on sequined thrones, birth mothers with marrow still singing lullabies, street mothers doling out cigarettes and prophecy, matriarchs of ruin and resurrection whispering, "Child, step inside, you are mine now. You are radiant now. You are unsinkable now. Thank God for found family, for solidarity, our clandestine Eucharist, for these rope bridges storm strong, spun from trembling hands, for friends arriving luminescent as lanternfish in the abyss, for the crackle, the effervescence, the fizzing carbonated certainty that we are not alone, not unmade, not yet undone, not yet. Thank God for the helpers, for the dreamers, for the whole kaleidoscopic chorus of us chanting in the ruin, singing in the glass labyrinth, bright and stubborn as lemonade on the tongue of apocalypse. Thank you.
Our next reader is Cora. And after her, Cindy.
Thank you very much. This is a great evening. This poem just appeared in One Art. I started writing it 2 years ago, and it's been a long time. I had to spend a lot of time just winnowing it down to the very basics. It's called Totaled. A jolt. I check my rear view. A man with long gray hair jumps from his Ford, waves his arms, paces, shouts, "My car is totaled, I have nothing." The grill of his Focus sits in its engine. The hood curls like a lip, headlights smashed in. I exit my Prius, rear bumper dangling, ask about insurance. Tossing, "I'm so sorry," over his shoulder, he runs off, shedding jacket and fedora. I peer in his Ford, stuffed with black garbage bags. My world collapses, shrinks to the size of a compact car. I imagine hustling meals, showers, a bed. EMS arrives, rolls the wreck to the curb, checks my vision. All I see, a man roaming November streets in shirt sleeves. Thank you.
Thank you, Cora. Robbie, who did you say was next?
Cindy.
Cindy, thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Bousquet Harris, and I'm going to share, I'd like to share with you a Charita sequence that was published in the Queen's Quinterly a while back, I'm happy to say. And it's from a poetry collection of mine that I am trying to get published. And it's about a man who was lost in the desert. Oh, thank you, John. I just see your very sweet chat note. Thank you. I've become an outline, pasted on the moon, shadow sung by tree frogs, collapsing mineshaft memory in talc, wind-drenched pauper of stars. I've become an empty snakeskin rattle, circle of invisible hawks, trail smirk, sand puppet, sky breath humming a dirge. I've become a rumor encased in amber, absence overgrown, shivering pinion scavenger of resinous dreams. I've become a spray of dead asters holding their shape, brittle afterthought in a vase of echoes. Thank you.
Lovely work.
Thank you.
Our next reader is Dawn. Thank
Hold on,
you,
Dawn.
Cindy.
Let me spotlight you before. And who's after Dawn?
After Dawn is Ellen.
Boy, it took everything in me not to say after dawn comes morning and then afternoon. And I'm vamping while I try to find where Dawn is in the mosaic of faces here. There we are, Dawn. There you are. Okay.
I sent you a message.
Thank you. This has been such a wonderful reading, and I really needed to be here tonight. So thank you for all the features and everyone who's read so far. I'm reading a poem from my newest collection, The Sin of Being Okay, which will be released in November. And Melissa graciously wrote a beautiful blurb for it. So thank you, Melissa. I will be forever grateful for you for that. This is called Elsewhere is Where I Want to Be. Take one guilt off after the other, a striptease of regret. Let me start again. Let me not pause at the crossroads of married and unmarried. I want to buy a Beetle convertible, put a real red daisy on the dash, and go to where the pain doesn't hum all the damn time. Just beneath the voice that keeps saying, I'm okay, until I'm choking on goodbyes too many to list here. My sons, when you look back to those early summer calls, me in my station wagon, mini mart parking lot, you both somewhere in the city, I hope you hear what's underneath, I'm sorry. Then hold on to my apron, the one I never wore in your childhood. Maybe I can cook us up a fresh pot of life. Thank you.
Love that title.
Our next reader is Alan.
And also, I think it bears saying, not to put too much pressure, but Alan is one of our featured for next month.
Thank you, and what a remarkable night of poetry. And I'm really glad Melissa declared that it's family night. I'm going to read a poem that I wrote for my father-in-law because it's the time of year that he passed away. And you know, I had to get married to get into his family, so I worked hard. It's called We Approach the Equinox Again, and it sure is disquieting the way the late summer dark comes down early and with such little prior notice. We know the light's been leaving ever since the solstice, but being human, we haven't believed it. Just as we don't believe the old man who's been asleep on the couch all day won't wake, get on his tennis gear as he always did, and head for the court and then cards with his pals. Till right now, the clouds gathered red and in layers this way in the western sky. We'd gawk like travelers passing through a strange and lovely land, and then tried to move toward it as if we might find some pyramids below, perhaps closing down for the night, but just in time to pay homage to the justly famous and ancient dead. But now we'd rather turn away and to the east to wait for what we'd always counted on to be inevitable, and for the first time are not so sure. The break of day and the crossbills and finches fleeing the blue spruce out front for whatever lies in front of them. Probably their need to feed themselves and survive, though we do enjoy mistaking their escape for the joy of being free. Now the nights will become endless as the days used to be. Should a lone vesper sparrow, should a lone vesper sparrow take some time out to sing, we're done for sure, and will be left forever at a loss. Who could stand still at the eastern window and learn to tolerate such loneliness so long?
Thank you, Alan. It's lovely. Our next reader is Dick.
Well, I
And
am.
then Tricia.
Oh, I apologize for coming in late, but I'm glad I got to hear absolutely everybody read. Since March, I've been writing a poem a week responding to the war on Gazans. Gaza is not the etymology of genocide. First, create the word from gene to give birth or beget. Add the Roman root "cato," which means I cut, I kill, I strike. Then, to complete the work, strip the leaves from the olive trees, deny the birds a place to nest, crush the debris, the olives, the limbs, the bodies under the treads of tanks. Next, look in the mirror, shake it like a dusty rug, and see what falls out. If nothing's there, proceed. Houses turned to dust need no people home. Children do not need to eat much in order to cry. No one needs to beget anymore. Cut the people free, strike a pose. When they walk on their knees, cobble them with stones.
Our next reader is Tricia.
Well, I'll just follow that, I guess. Um, First of all, I just want to say again, thank you to our featured readers. Thank you to Robbie. Thank you to all of you who are coming on a Wednesday and making art happen. And yeah, it is difficult. It is difficult, but I'm always amazed by the fact that no matter what the time brings us, poets keep poeting. So that's what we're going to do. And that on its own, I think, is a little victory. I also will say, we're going to start in October a workshop. We're going to repeat a workshop called Writer as Editor, and it's by donation basis. And I've long said that Poetry Salon is a lot like a vampire. We get bitten by poetry, and then we turn around and we want to bite someone else and turn other people into poets. So this is a great place if you are interested in maybe using your skill as a poet to now be an editor for a journal, start your own workshops, do anything to get more poetry out there in the world and more places where people who don't feel like they can speak now get a sense that they can speak, which is why I'm making it donation basis, because I really want everyone who's interested to be able to participate. I'll put my name and email in the chat in just a second, so folks can contact me and register. And with all of that marketing out of the way, this is a quick poem called What I Wish My Therapist Had Said to Me, and it was just accepted by J.D. Isip for the American Pop Culture Anthology, which I think is coming out through Moontide Press. Pretty sure it's Moontide. Anyways, this is What I Wish My Therapist Had Said to Me. Make more mistakes more quickly. Hold up your boombox under the wrong window, chanting love songs to the wrong person. Lose yourself in a cause that is doomed, then drive all night to hear the whales sing. None of us know when the sun will explode, when the condor will go extinct, or your thoughtless meme go viral on YouTube. We're all full of doubt, drowned in debt, driven by our dreams. The price of living is falling over and over, wishing you had done it all differently. So wear a condom, keep a life journal, protect your PIN number. I'll be here, ready to ask the useful questions. What did you do? And how did you feel about that? I approve of you and all the stupid, necessary things we both know you are inevitably going to do.
Yeah, there's a therapist for you. Okay, I'm going to share this because I have to read something from my new book since Melissa was so kind as to do the dreaded deed of blurbing my book, which is called About to Disappear, and it's going to be released in a few weeks by Shanty Arts Books, if we don't get sued by any of the artists whose works appear in the book. Thank you so much, Melissa. So let me find it. Okay, I have to. Sharing is not turned on.
You're lying.
No, I'm not.
I absolutely know that I turned on the sharing capabilities.
Oh, you have to turn it on again.
Are you able to share now?
Let's see. Oh, if I push the right button. So I had to show you the poem too, because after the poem was published in Vox Populi, the artist got mad and took it off the internet. So this is the only place that the image is still up. So there it is. So please, if you write about this image, don't use it to publish the poem. At first glance, the poem's called Still Standing. At first glance, I think she is a teacher drawing on the chalkboard. One finger rests on the crevice where the chalk is kept. The other arm sweeps wide into an arc on the board's murky green surface, where translucent moon jellies swarm, words poorly erased. She drafts a magic circle to protect her, yet her feet are bare, standing in a pool of long-dried paint as in a spotlight. I decide this is an abandoned school, site of a shooting, now her studio, where she can drop the line of her imagination, netting the unexpected lost voices of 1,000 children and their teachers. She probes a past she doesn't really know, like a scientist who studies creatures making their own cold light in the deepest ocean. Dreams and dreams again about this ruined room, its light and shadows, settled dust, compelled to paint it in bright hues, to return and make this place a kind of shrine, left standing to remind us all what has been lost. Thank you so much to our wonderful features and to our wonderful open mic and to people who were just watching. Thank you, everyone who's watching the video. And thank you, poetry. We need you.
Thank you, poetry. See you all again soon. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
Much
Come back
wonderful.
again next time for Alan Wolowitz and Betsy Mars. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Loved having you.
Thanks again, everyone.